Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're joining me for the first time, I'm Athena. Now, this is just a part 2 to my myomectomy video. As you can see, I'm in the same clothes, same hairstyle, everything is just that I put the videos in 2 parts because I didn't want one to be too long. Right, so in this part 2 segment, I'm just going to be comparing my myomectomy with my cesarean section. I had to do both because I did a C-section with my daughter and then I had to do a myomectomy after. I know a lot of persons going to be in this position. You probably did a C-section already and you're awaiting your myomectomy and you're wondering what the difference is going to be and if it's going to be different or if it's going to be similar. So I'm just going to be going through some of the similarities and some of the differences. Bear in mind, guys, that this is my experience and I know that other persons might have different experience. Now, I'm going to ask you to like this video, share it with your family and friends, and of course, subscribe to my channel and turn on that bell notification, guys. Yes, guys. So let's get started. So first of all, a myomectomy, for those persons who don't know, is the surgical removal of fibroids. Uterine fibroids, and a uterine fibroid is just a mass in the uterus, but it's not cancer. It's a benign mass, but for some females it can cause complications such as bleeding, painful periods, constipation, and a whole list of things. If it's symptomatic, based on its location, it can give you different symptoms, and for some persons they can have prominent like the belly look big because of it, which was my situation as well. If it is, a lot of women have fibroids, especially black women, and if it is that your fibroids is not doing anything, you might not need to take it out. But unfortunately, some of us like me, I had symptoms of my fibroids, so I needed to do surgery. Now, my C-section was 2 years ago and I did my myomectomy on October the 6th. And I'm just going to be telling you some of the things that were different. Now, basically there are different ways that they can do a myomectomy, a lot of different ways. But for my surgery specifically, I did abdominal surgery. So basically the incision site, the cut on the skin is the same place. That's the bikini cut that I got from my C-section. So it was basically the same cut. Yeah. So that's one thing. The other thing is that for both of my surgeries, I actually got spinal anesthesia. This time around, it was way different. And first of all, I was upset with myself after the spinal because homegirl. So let me tell you what happened, guys. I didn't know that could have gotten a spinal until the morning of the surgery, right? I prefer the spinal because I am afraid of intubation. The thing when they put the wound in your lungs, your windpipe, I was afraid of that. So I never wanted to do that. So when I got the option of spinal, I chose the spinal. Now, bear in mind that it's a very senior doctor doing my spinal, opposed to when I did my C-section and it was a very junior doctor doing my spinal, like a Dr. Learning. And I knew her because she was just a senior house officer when I was a student, so I know that she just entered the program when she was doing my spinal. When she did the spinal, everything was okay, it went in all right, and whatever. No, today I'm having a consultant doing my spinal, but for some reason, guys, tell me why I jumped when the medication went in. So I never expected to have electricity running down my legs because I didn't get that sensation in my first spinal. So when I felt it, I jumped, guys. A needle was in my back and I fucking jumped. Like, I was so pissed at myself. And she was like, darn, you kind of like shift the needle, so she'd have to do it again. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But I felt the electricity and she was like, that means it was in. So now I have to reattempt the spinal. So guys, that was very traumatic for me. I wanted to bawl because I'm like, this is all my fault. Because all I had to do was just to sit still and move and make me get enjoying. But anyways, yeah, so that was it. I got my spinal. Just like my cesarean section, I was sedated. So you don't have to be sedated in a cesarean section. You don't have to be sedated in any of these surgeries. But in my cesarean section, because, you know, my whole thing with Zena, I've probably been sick, I was very nervous and very, just fussy. So they had sedated me. In this surgery, they actually sedated me, which I don't mind, guys, because I don't want to be awake. Okay, the first difference with my two surgeries was the time. A cesarean section is about 30 minutes from starting on the anesthesia to closing up your belly button, and it can go way quicker than that. My myomectomy took almost 3 hours, guys. So it's not no little play surgery. And I feel like even though I was told prior to the myomectomy that it's a more detailed surgery than C-section and the recovery time will be longer, I feel like I never believed, because I'm not going to be C-section and I was up and about next day. So I felt like I was just like, okay, if you say so. So yeah, the time for the surgery was much longer. If you watch my part 2, you'll also realize that when I did my C-section, guys, I passed gas the night after the surgery. So I did my C-section at 1 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock in the night, I was passing gas, meaning that my bowel was actually moving again, right? I did not pass gas until day 2 after my myomectomy, and I didn't even have appetite after my myomectomy, and so it's basically like I was just like out of it, like not wanting food for like the first 2 days. So yeah, that's a difference between my myomectomy, and I feel like my myomectomy and my C-section. And I feel like part of the reason is because the myomectomy is a more intensive surgery, so they're touching a lot of things and whatever. So bowel function took a while to come back for me. The third thing, guys, the third difference, the major difference, was the pain. Guys, the pain after myomectomy is out of this world. Now remember, when you do a C-section, you have a baby taken care of. Guys, after my myomectomy, there's no way I could breastfeed the night after my myomectomy. And mind you, my surgery was early. I was at the OT like 7 o'clock in the morning. So, I did my surgery early in the morning versus my C-section, which was 1 o'clock. And there's no way on that day when I did my myomectomy, I could have been taking care of a young baby. No way. Mommy said the pain is a different kind of pain, and I was on a good amount of pain medication, because I looked at my chart and I know the dose that I normally prescribe for the patients after C-section, and my dose was higher than that. So the pain was just out of this world. That was the first thing. Like, what me tell you, say, I'm 2 weeks out, guys, and I'm still having pain. And on a normal pain, I mean, the pain is ridiculous. And when I was, like, the time I went home, like, my mother-in-law, she was there with me, and she was like, no, man, you're really strong for up and about, because when I went home on day 3 with Zenaya, I was just doing everything for myself. I was pumping my milk, I was breastfeeding my baby, I was just doing everything, guys. I wasn't limited. Guys, I'm 2 weeks out and I'm still limited to the things that I can do, because I'm still feeling pain in my body, in my belly. I was off pain meds after my cesarean section after day 5. So tell me why today's like day 16 and I'm still on pain meds. I'm still limited in the things that I can do. Guys, there will be times when I'll be getting up from a chair and you can see that I am physically in pain. I remember one morning I walked Zenaya to class, and this was 2 weeks post my surgery. I held her hand and I walked her to her class, and by the time I was coming back, I was in so much pain. On a Friday, 15 days after my surgery, I went to my workplace to start out my sick leave. And I had to do a little bit of walking around in the hospital, guys. And I was in so much pain after. I could not believe it, because I mean, like, I remember when I was 2 weeks after Zenaya born, I'm putting Zena in her stroller, and me and her dad, we're pushing her around in the community and walking. Like I'm walking strong, strong, strong. Like I never did any surgery. So I never understand why I was in so much pain. Guys, I know I'm going on and on about the pain, but I need to understand. It's worth it, you know, guys, because after a while you feel better. Because to be honest, I'm not in as much pain as I was before. And if you watch my other video, I spoke about the experience with the painkillers and everything. But the pain in a C-section is like 60, and the pain from a myomectomy is like 180. And the healing time is way longer, guys. It's way longer. When I'm going back to work 3 weeks after my surgery. I thought I would have gone back 2 weeks after, because my job is not that much physical work, so I wanted to go back 2 weeks after. When the 2 weeks back came, I was like, okay, I'm shitting myself. I can't go back to work. I cannot physically manage. And to be honest, when I went home with Zen, guys, first of all, from I was in the hospital with Zen, I was bathing Zen in the hospital, right? I was bathing my baby after my C-section in the hospital. I could never dream of doing that. I could hardly bathe myself, guys. Talk the truth. Like, the healing time is way longer, guys. It's no walk in the park. If you're going to do a myomectomy, make sure that you have somebody at your house to assist you, because you're gonna need a little assistant, girlie. You're gonna need it. Trust me, you're gonna need it. Alright, yeah, guys. The other thing is that post my myomectomy, for me, I was a little bit depressed. As I said, my recovery, and if you watch my other video, the part 1 to this, you'll see that I had a lot of issues with my recovery, and because of that, I was very depressed. And you know, I couldn't sleep at night at one point because of the backache. So it was just a whole different experience for me. After my myomectomy, I was just like, I'm never going to do another surgery. So I was just like, Anif, just be reminded that we're not having any more kids, because I am not going back to that. And of course his reply was like, you're not having any more kids. But yeah, guys, I never mind it at that time. At the point, I just never want to go back to that. All right, the next difference that I must talk about is the bleeding. The uterus in a pregnant woman have a lot of blood going to it, and for myomectomy, the bleeding, post-op bleeding, is not as bad. So that's the only better thing. For me personally, and some women, they're different. So some women might stop bleeding earlier, but after my cesarean section, I bled for like 6 weeks. Like 6 weeks. You know, I thought some women, they would have come back up pregnant at 6 weeks. Made I bleed for 6 weeks. The good thing was that it was going down. So it wasn't like in the initial stages, it was a lot of bleeding, but then not really a lot, you know, like postpartum hemorrhage, but it was more, and it was taking time, but I was still spotting up until 6 weeks. For a myomectomy, I bled for like a week, and it wasn't even a lot of bleeding. But it's not because of the type of surgery, because even if you have a vaginal delivery, your bleeding is still going to be more because of the nature of pregnancy. And yeah, so that was another difference. Yeah, so those were my major similarities, those were my major differences. Don't be scared if you have to do a myomectomy. Don't let my experience scare you off. But in general, even when I was talking to other persons, it was a similar situation, that you're not really walking like your full self until like probably like a week or 10 days after, and you probably still have some limitations. Because even one of my friends, I was talking to her because she's at myomectomy, and it was the same thing with her, not feeling herself for a while. And like, you know, some people, they might, it takes a while to get back to your regular self. That's what I'm trying to say. But it's well worth it, because if you're bleeding like, you know, really bad, and your blood count, you have anemia, your blood count low and everything, it's worth taking out the fibroids. For me, after the myomectomy, I never want to get pregnant again. But then now, I changed my mind. I am going to have another baby. I just can't wait for that 6 months mark to reach so I can get pregnant again. Yeah, guys. So, you know, like, yes, in the initial stages, because I was going through all of that, I never want any more babies. But after a while, you get over it, and, you know, it's just that memory. So if you have to do a myomectomy, do a myomectomy. But just know that it's not a C-section. Guys, if you yourself had a cesarean section and a myomectomy, you can tell me your experience, you know, and let us see. Remember to like this video, leave a comment, share with your family and friends, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, peace out.